everybody. Welcome to the Konik Blueprint and our 20th LinkedIn Live event and our 27th podcast. We're so grateful to have you with us today. I'm Jen Fitzke Goettl. Make sure you follow both of us on LinkedIn and the Konik Blueprint podcast on your favorite player. Today, we're excited to chat about the third and final episode of our series, Career Strategies for Uncertain Times. Previously, we talked about setting your professional vision, creating career guideposts, and safeguarding against adversity. Today, we dive deeper into 2023 job search trends, how to negotiate a better salary, and handling the resignation conversation. As always, drop your questions into the chat on LinkedIn. We'll get them answered. If you'd rather message Tom or me privately through LinkedIn or include in my email address, feel free to do that also. Tom, let's dig into it.
Yes, thanks, Jen, for that great setup. We definitely got a lot to cover today. I think each topic that you mentioned for today could be a full hour in and of itself, but we'll get through as much as we can in the time here today. But we could talk for days about that. So we'll try to be concise and give everyone some great takeaways that we can use moving forward to navigate your career. We've definitely seen the job market change over the past couple of months. It's one of those times of year where typically it does slow down because of budget meetings, getting new positions approved, and the holidays. There always is some downturn each year. But overall, we're definitely seeing some strong demand for engineering and architecture talent. So we definitely would love to continue the conversation and talk about career strategies during changing times. And really overall, we're still seeing strong demand for our candidates on a national level. The government statistics has 1.7 jobs for every unemployed person. So that's down a little bit over past quarters, but still, definitely very strong numbers and a lot of opportunities for each person that's unemployed and anybody that's looking for a new position. Jen, before we get too far into the topics for today, I'd love to highlight what you're seeing in terms of some top roles and top positions you're recruiting for this month.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
I think I said this last month, but it continues with this month in our MEP or mechanical, electrical, plumbing positions for construction. My building engineers, my HVAC engineers. I have positions both for licensed engineers as well as unlicensed engineers, both in mechanical and plumbing, and then also electrical. And then I need a project manager, a mechanical project manager for capital equipment if they're junior in their career, like 5-ish years, which I know is probably more considered mid, but
Sure.
Still junior overall if you're going to work 40 years. Definitely need somebody for that too. All of these are in Minnesota. I need one licensed electrical engineer in Dallas. So if you know anybody that does power distribution and lighting in Dallas, or if you're in Dallas listening or watching this, let me know.
Awesome. Great summary. And always new positions coming in. That's a great recap of what you have for the month. So looking at the past few years and kind of talking about trends a bit in the job search, Jen, a lot has changed since 2020, of course. And one of the biggest changes I think we've seen for our industry and a lot of industries is the digital transformation and automation of our economy. So many companies are able to do business. So many people are able to make their purchases and their day-to-day projects. So much of that can be done online, much more than it used to be. And with the automation transformation, things seemingly can be done easier and with much more ease than before. I'm curious how you've seen this playing out in the job search, Jen. Any themes that you're seeing that are continuing through 2023 around anything digital or what that means in terms of the interview process moving forward?
Yeah. So AI is it's taking over everything, of course, and it makes sense if you think about we've got the millennials in the workforce, of course. Gen Z is entering the workforce. By 2025, HubSpot said that they're going to make up 27% of the global workforce, and 54% of them are not going to complete long online job applications. So I went on a couple websites and I looked at their applications, and they're shorter than they used to be. They're way shorter than they used to be.
Okay.
And that's good. They needed to be. I mean, I remember being in meetings, recruiting meetings, and we were talking about just how long they are. They're pages and pages, and the drop-off rate was really high. So that's better. And along with AI, there's automated resume vetting. So candidates really need to make sure that their resume uses the keywords that are on the job description when explaining their achievements and experience. I'm not saying write your resume like it is the job description and saying that you have experience that you don't have. I'm saying with the experience that you do have, make sure that you're matching it, because there are some companies that still have people reviewing your resume, by a person, as we do, but there are companies, really large companies, that use chatbots in their AI software, and they're looking to match those keywords. I was reading that there are AI is also being used at some companies in software to make internal referrals easier. So your friend at company A just has to go into that system and open up the chatbot, enter internal referral, and put your information in that way. Automated messaging. This is how it will affect the candidate in the process. Automated messaging is being used to schedule interviews. A huge frustration of candidates has always been, I'm not hearing anything. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. So they're immediately getting replies to their resume. They might get quicker replies on a decline if they're declined. So just automated messaging. If they're getting scheduling interviews, they might get an email or an automated message to schedule the interview before they even talk to somebody. So, our generations that grew up with automation and grew up with all of the technology, they're a little more comfortable with that. I think us on the recruiting end, our focus can be, there still has to be a connection. There still has to be that we're humans like connection.
Sure.
Right? We're creatures of connection. So there still needs to be that, still make me feel important. So I think that's the challenge that we can meet on our end.
Yeah. And even from a candidate standpoint, to separate someone and help themselves stand out, I think as a better candidate there are ways to circumvent everything being automated and build a personal relationship with an HR representative or hiring manager through phone calls, right?
Yep.
I think a candidate making a phone call to a hiring manager or to HR first used to be more common in years past, and it's less so. And for me, I only see upside to that. It's so we can do no harm by leaving a friendly, inviting voicemail asking to talk about a position or learn more about it. Definitely brings out, I think, maybe the candidate's personality, which AI and any chatbot just doesn't pick up on, right?
They're not going to capture. I'd be interested in our audience's reaction to that, if they're willing to make a comment, because I think we have some HR leaders on here, if how that's perceived. So feel free to send your messages in on that. And until you do, some other things would be virtual and live recorded interviews. My son, when he was applying for part-time jobs, he had to record his answers to pre-recorded interview questions. They were live. It was a person. And then he sat and he recorded his answers, and then somebody on the other end watched it. So there's more of that going on. And of course, during the pandemic, a lot of us got used to doing the virtual interviews. But if you haven't done an interview since the pandemic, that's going to be new to you. So, there's a lot of tips out there about what you can do to prepare for a virtual interview. I can talk about that more in detail if you want, or people can message me and I can send you my tips. But
we're still seeing a fair amount of video interviews, live video interviews, whether it be on Teams or Zoom.
A lot of our first interviews now are all virtual.
Yeah. I think in the job search process too, for candidates, we're able to watch company videos to get an idea of the culture of the environment, and perhaps the CEO, president, or even hiring manager would record a video, have it in the ad or have it on the career website, so they can really get a firsthand experience of what the culture is, what the leadership style is, and help them through their decision process of applying and moving forward in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in my last kind of thought on that, well, not my last one, but the last one I'll mention right now is just the use of social media to promote career opportunities, and where is your audience going to be for your opportunities. And with this generation, of course, right now it's all about TikTok. Do you have a corporate channel that allows candidates to apply for a position through that social media channel? So that as well, where you're going to find your positions, where you're going to be applying for positions.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think in general, everyone is underestimating TikTok and where it's going to go in the next few years, assuming it isn't banned for national reasons or other things.
That's why I've heard about Be Real. I haven't gone to look at it yet, but I've heard that's kind of the next one. But
from both sides, but more so for recruiting teams, HR teams, they always need to think about where are the candidates, and something for currently younger demographics. Where are they? Many of them they're on TikTok or similar social media tools, and next year there will probably be another one that'll spring up. Certainly from a recruiting standpoint, that's great. And LinkedIn, like I certainly think people that are in the job search process, they certainly go to LinkedIn, absolutely. But in terms of think about minutes that people spend in each platform. Certainly, LinkedIn has TikTok has some great opportunity, but certainly LinkedIn is the king of professional networking, and that's when someone is really in that mindset and in that frame of reference. That's most likely where they're going to go. So, by all means, LinkedIn is still extremely strong place to be, both on the candidate side and the recruiting side, right?
For sure, absolutely. Yep. I was thinking about this. So you and I have been helping candidates through their interviews each for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I think we started when emails and fax machines we were working from resumes there before people sending us through the mail before email.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that you'd give a professional who's preparing for their technical interview?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, certainly a lot has changed in 20 years. I was thinking, do you remember before casual Friday was a thing?
Yeah.
Remember, dressing up Monday through Friday in a suit.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And I remember we'd run ads in the Star Tribune, and Monday would get a couple envelopes in, but Tuesday, that was like, you couldn't wait for the mail person to come, because you'd find those envelopes and start dialing as soon as you could. Yeah, definitely. We've been around longer, Jen, than we like to admit, but it's fun to look back. What's one piece of advice for technical interviews? When you mentioned, you use the term technical interview, so oftentimes that comes after the HR interview. Technical interview is really kind of getting into the weeds of someone's knowledge and expertise, and for that, you of course do your research. I think that goes without saying. But what I like to point out is referring to the job description that you initially applied to, the advertisement, and looking down underneath the qualifications. And typically the education is going to be there, maybe a number of years of experience. That's really good. Going into the technical interview, you've already crossed off those 2 bullet points, you've already made it past that. Sometimes, many times, it's that third and fourth bullet point. It's getting into industry experience. If it's a building engineering role, Jen, maybe it's the type of building that someone has experience in. If it's in manufacturing, let's say a medical device company, it's the type of medical device, what class 1, 2, or 3, and it's really getting into perhaps the materials that someone has used in engineering and manufacturing, and the different type of manufacturing methods someone has experience in. That's really, for me, in preparing for the technical interview, is really thinking about that and how would you answer questions around that. What type of experience do you have in ... And then the third and fourth bullet points will give you clues in terms of what types of questions will come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Well, not push back. Yeah. I'm going to add to that a little bit. Please. Because with diversity and inclusion being more of a not a concern, but a forefront issue that companies are, I want to choose my words carefully here, but they're just paying more attention to it as it needs to be. And with the, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts about that women especially feel that they need to meet 100% of the job requirements before they'll apply. And so maybe the third and fourth bullet point, somebody doesn't meet. Sure. So one of the things that I always talk about with candidates is it's okay if you don't meet all of the requirements of the position, but of the ones that you do, have examples ready to give your experience, including, and not just the job, not just the project, here's what we did, but go beyond that. What were the lessons learned from that project? Make sure you have a project that didn't go good, didn't go well. What did you learn from it? And not being afraid to be vulnerable. And taking accountability for what went wrong, as well as taking accountability and giving praise to your team if you're on a team when things went well. So those were the things that I wanted to mention, is just having those examples, those lessons learned. And then if you don't meet all of the requirements, still apply. Make sure your experience is relevant. I know there's people on here right now who are getting the resume, because we get them, hundreds of them, people that apply just so somebody can read their resume, like, oh, I just thought I'd send it in. I know I don't qualify for the job, but I just thought I'd apply anyway. I'm not going to email that person back. I don't have time. There's too many resumes to review in a day. But if you are if you're close, go ahead and apply.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think you touched on that. It's you're in the interview, assuming you've gotten past the HR interview, and now you're in the technical interview. Any manager just be curious, how did you handle adversity? And it make it into, why did you leave your last position? Different, how do you handle a project that didn't go well? I think, to your point, you want to be vulnerable, be honest, and have a solutions mindset. Say, this didn't go well because this could have gone better. I could have handled this a little bit better. This is what I learned. Those types of responses.
Absolutely.
Great. Fantastic. Great. And then just a quick reminder again to live viewers, drop any questions you have in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as possible. If we we'll get to them today. And if not, we'll definitely follow up right afterwards to make sure you have all your questions answered. Let's turn a little bit to the job offer stage and negotiating compensation. This is definitely another one that we definitely could spend an hour on, just walking through this. Jen, there's different scenarios, probably as many scenarios as there are job offers. Everyone is very unique down to the candidate, very unique from the perspective they're coming from, the current role, the current compensation someone has. And then every company is unique. They have their unique profit sharing plans, unique 401k, unique culture, training opportunities, advancement opportunities. So it really, if every offer is different. And for most candidates, this step can be uncomfortable. No one enjoys talking about money, and especially I think in the Midwest, we just don't enjoy talking about negotiating pay and money. It's just something that we avoid, and we're simply not outspoken when it comes to money and how much everybody makes and et cetera. So it can be uncomfortable, but certainly a lot of upside to getting more comfortable and learning a little bit how to negotiate the salary, PTO, total compensation. Jen, what advice might you give someone who, let's say they received a good offer? Let's say, for example, they're asking for 110 and it comes in around 110, maybe a little bit lower, maybe right at 110, but they know, gosh, after interviewing, I would really like a little bit more as they learned throughout the job search process. What advice would you give to someone that receives an offer but feel that they could negotiate for more?
Yeah, first of all, I like the idea of they're doing it because they learn more about the job. Maybe the job has a lot more responsibility than they thought that it was going to have, or that it initially was posted. Maybe the company found out that you can bring more to the position, but your offer is in line with the other, with the initial job. A couple of things that we've helped candidates with in the past is companies might push back because that particular job title is in a particular pay grade. One, have reasons for why you're asking for more. Two, be ready to suggest alternatives. Maybe the title needs to be a higher level. Maybe you interviewed for a mid-level position. You're really a senior level position, so maybe the title needs to be senior, so it can bump you up into a different pay grade within the company. Mm-hmm. So as you are going to your current manager, and they always say, don't come to your manager with problems, come to your manager with an issue and solutions. Same thing for a negotiation. Go in with a solution. One, the reasons why you're asking for it. Two, go in with your counteroffer and be confident. You're asking for it for a reason. This is where you see your value. You also have to keep in mind mentally, what is your walk-away number? If your walk-away number is 110, you're not going to accept anything lower than that, then that's your number. If they're not going to come up to 110, maybe they'll get a lot of what's let me finish the other thought. Benefits, the easiest benefit to negotiate is time off. That's what I found. You're not going to negotiate a 401k match. I mean, that just is what it is because of the plan. So time off is generally the easiest thing. Or if you're working hybrid, a lot of our clients are not doing full remote anymore. So they're doing hybrid, or they're flexing. If they want you on site, they might allow 1 day a week, like for family issues or whatever. So those are the easier things to negotiate. Mm-hmm. And then I already forgot what I was going to go back to, but so those are my tips on negotiating that.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I would just add to that, when you're thinking about the reasons for a pay increase, as much as possible, make it a professional reason or a business reason. For example, if, let's say in the example, you're looking for 110, but it comes in at 105 and you're currently at 105. Right. And maybe they're offering a week less benefits. That's an easy ask to get it, to get asked for 110. What you want to avoid is, well, I just bought a nicer house, or I bought a nicer car, so I need 5. Like that's going to kind of fall on deaf ears. But if you make it more business related, and to your point, something you learned through the job search process, maybe you learned that it is a higher level position, kind of comparing what you thought it was versus what it actually is. It takes more hours if it's salaried, more hours per week, takes a higher level of engineering abilities than what you originally thought it was. Those are all points of strength. Maybe I'd phrase it a position of strength. Like, oh yeah, that makes good business sense. Why you'd be looking for higher salary. Kind of make it easy for them to see why, from a business standpoint, why you might be looking for something more.
Right. And I'll say too, I work a lot in the technical and the engineering field, and a couple of positions that are just kind of expected to counter because they want to see what your negotiation is like are my project managers and sales engineers. I mean, those are a given. Those are going to pretty much be, they're going to try to negotiate that. And the client expects it, unless I tell the client. I told one the other day, I said, just come in with your best and final offer. Please come in with that. This can't,
Yeah.
For that particular case, that was the situation. But otherwise, those positions are generally expected to.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So the last topic we'd like to cover today is the resignation. You've accepted the job. You're all excited. So now what? You have to resign and give your notice. So with that conversation, Tom, what are some of the best practices to communicate that to your current manager?
Yeah, great question. And again, this step can be very challenging. It's a very emotional process. I think every candidate, we try to be very mindful that this step is a really big life event. I like to say it's similar to who you're going to marry, what part of town, what city you're going to live in. It's a very very important topic. So deciding to start your job search and this day where you decided to resign is certainly isn't the heaviness of it, the importance of it certainly isn't lost on us. But once you've made that decision, this is the opportunity I want to take. This is going to be better for my career. This aligns with my career vision. It's going to get me more excited, help me advance in my career. Then at that point, I think the one bullet point is just be firm and be resolute in your decision. And then in the way you communicate it, just try to be as firm as possible. And you want to leave the company on a high note, and you want to make it be a very good experience. So certainly offer as much notice as reasonable. 2 weeks is still very common. And if the company asks for 3 weeks, then you can go back and be open to that idea. And definitely put it in writing, of course. Like we'd mentioned, Jen and I used to work off of paper resumes, and perhaps a resignation letter doesn't need to be printed out or have a notary public on it. You don't need to make it that, but an email certainly is, I think more acceptable than it used to be. And in that email, you feel free to mention, ask to set up a time to talk. Let them know you're happy to talk about this in person, and make sure that you keep a great relationship or a good relationship with your manager. And you of course want to do that. So those 2 points, be open. And when you write it out, it just makes it a little bit more official and make it more of a firm decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree. My other piece of advice would just be, like you said, it's going to be emotional for both parties. So try to keep as much emotion out of it as you can and keep it professional. You and your manager might not get along, and you might be tempted to say, I can't, we just don't get along, da, 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 da. Don't do that. Just thank them for the opportunity to work there. You've learned a lot in your time there, but at this point, you're going to move on to another opportunity. Keep it as above board, take the high road, all of that, because you never know what's going to happen in the future and when you're going to cross paths with that person again. And you want to maintain being civil and being professional at all times. I don't care how poorly you think that you've been treated. Take the high road. Be the better person in that situation. Yeah, I can go on and on and on about that.
Yeah. Yes. Certainly break that out into an episode in and of itself.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Yes. Well, we'll leave it there. Are we good wrapping up?
Yeah, it is a good conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. The part 3 of career strategies for uncertain times. Message Jen or me on LinkedIn anytime with follow-up questions on these important topics. And if you're on LinkedIn, go to our page, Konik. If you go under the event section, all of our 20 live events will be there, wide range of topics there. I'm sure several of them would be of interest to you. And we hope you took a couple takeaways from this episode that'll help you in your job search. Again, a quick reminder, follow us on LinkedIn and then follow us on the Konik Blueprint podcast. And then, of course, check out our latest jobs at koniknetwork.com. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.